We now come to the next item of business, which is motion number 3 on business of the House, 13th of May. Minister to move. Formally, Sir Christopher Chope.
Mr Deputy Speaker, we've got, I think, another hour and 3/4 or a little bit longer in which to debate this motion tonight. And the point I want to make at the outset is, why is it that we are wasting so much valuable sitting time because of the way in which the order paper is being arranged? And my right honourable friend, the Leader of the House, who's going to respond, I hope, to this short debate, will be able to explain to us how it comes about that we have the best part of 2 hours for this motion to be debated today, and yet she is putting on the order paper in this motion a motion that we should only have 2 hours maximum to debate a much more important and significant motion which is on the order paper for Monday, because under the motion which we're discussing at the moment, we are being told that we are only going to be allowed 2 hours for debate on Monday on the motion in the name of the Leader of the House relating to the exclusion of MPs. And can I just remind the House that that is a motion which I think we have, do we have 4 amendments down to the Finance Bill, Mr Deputy Speaker? There are already 8 amendments down to the motion for Monday, which shows that there's quite a lot of interest in it, including an amendment from a member for the Liberal Democrats who wishes to go back to the situation which was originally contained in the motion in relation to exclusion of risk-based exclusion of MPs. The original proposal was that members could be excluded just on the grounds of suspicion. I put down amendments together with colleagues against that proposal, and it's to the credit of the Leader of the House that she has come back with a revised motion which makes it clear that exclusion would not begin to apply unless or until somebody had been charged with a violent or sexual offence. I give way to my right honourable friend.
As one of the colleagues who signed my honourable friend's suggested amendment, I must say I did find it alarming that it was suggested that an MP could be suspended on the basis of an allegation. It doesn't require much imagination to see circumstances in which an MP could be targeted by anyone making a serious allegation on the basis of no factual underpinning whatsoever, and the person having to be suspended. And it is astonishing, frankly, that we could be put into such a situation on so flimsy a basis.
Well, I agree absolutely with my right honourable friend. I'm grateful to him for having supported my amendments to the original motion. And I'm sure it will be of concern to him that the honourable member for North East Fife has now brought forward Amendment H for debate on Monday, which would effectively go back to that original motion and would suggest that instead of having to be charged, a member would only have to have been arrested on suspicion of committing an offence in order to be excluded from this House. Yes, of course I will.
Just to come back on the previous intervention, an arrest doesn't happen. I don't know how many rape arrests or sexual violence arrests or violence arrests that the honourable members have actually handled, but an arrest doesn't happen on the basis of flimsy allegations. It takes weeks. Just to put that on the record, as somebody who deals with it week in, week out, the idea that somebody just gets arrested on the say-so of someone is literally for the birds. Yeah.
It's actually incredibly narrow, this. And what I fear is that we may be having the debate that we're going to have on Monday now, and we don't want that. So if we could, it's just basically about the amount of time that's going to be allocated, and the debate that we're sort of having now really should be on Monday. Sir Christopher.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I take that point absolutely, but I think we've already had a taste in a couple of interventions already that this is a controversial subject, and that 2 hours for debate on Monday is an inadequate time. And may I suggest that the purpose of this debate now is as to whether or not we believe that a motion limiting debate on Monday to 2 hours is the right or the wrong course. And I would suggest that it's the wrong course. But I give way again to my right honourable friend.
Whilst fully accepting your guidance, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I must say in response to the previous intervention from the opposition benches, I said nothing about somebody who had been arrested. The original wording to which I objected did not refer to someone having been arrested. It was simply on the basis of somebody having been accused of something. So I might well agree with her interpretation on the question of whether someone's been arrested or not. It would depend on the bail circumstances, for example.
Taking on that point, Mr. Deputy Speaker, obviously one of the issues is that some people can be arrested and they won't know the outcome of whether or not they're going to be charged for months, if not years. And during that period, those people are in limbo and under suspicion. And they are under the principles of justice in this country. They are innocent until proved guilty. But it's reasonable, I think, that if somebody is charged with an offence, that is moved on, and indeed that the person who has been charged with that offence, their identity will be known. But quite often people may be arrested and their identity will not be known. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the point I'm making is that this is a controversial subject. What the motion is the new motion that the Leader of the House has brought before us is more in line with what is proposed in the other place, because the other place had a similar debate about this, and they decided, and I think there's probably even more legal wisdom in the other place than there is in this House. They decided that it would be wrong to exclude members from the parliamentary estate on the basis of suspicion or mere arrest, and that what was needed was that there should be a charge. And I submit that it's desirable to have consistent rules across the whole of this estate, because if somebody in the other place, yes, I will in a minute. If somebody in the other place is subject to a different regime from somebody in this place, but we know that we can move freely between the different parts of the parliamentary estate, that will create extraordinary anomalies. I give way to my right honourable friend.
Okay, my right honourable friend. However many hours we spend debating this, isn't there a fundamental problem that the aim is to do this by motion rather than by legislation, and that any exclusion of a member, except by a specific vote on that member, needs to be a legislative requirement for attendance at the House, not mere motion?
I agree wholeheartedly with my right honourable friend, and indeed that's a point that could be brought into the debate on Monday without the need to discuss the amendments to which I've been referring. But why are we having a restriction of 2 hours on a debate on an issue of such fundamental importance? And that's just another reason, it seems to me, Mr. Deputy Speaker, why we shouldn't support a 2-hour restriction on the debate on Monday. I don't understand really why it's necessary anyway, because if one looks at the order paper for Monday, one can see that it is a very light order paper, as indeed it has been today. There are just a couple of motions down at the moment dealing with regulations. So why is it proposed again that everybody should have an early night on Monday, and that we will arbitrarily impose upon ourselves a time limit on being able to debate this important issue of risk-based exclusion? So it's quite a straightforward point. The Secretary of State has brought this forward. She is faced with a number of amendments, including one on a very controversial topic, which is the issue as to whether or not we should contaminate the whole of the proxy voting system in this House by allowing people who have been charged with sexual offences to be able to benefit from proxy voting. Why should somebody who's been charged with a sexual offence be able to engage in proxy voting in this place? What is the justification for it? Surely, if somebody is charged with a sexual offence, then that will be the subject of potentially bail conditions or custody conditions imposed as a consequence of that charge, and provided that there are no bail conditions excluding that person from being able to participate in the proceedings of this House, then that person should be able to continue to participate in the proceedings of the House. Shouldn't that be the natural consequence? But we have got instead a proposal set out in the motion set down for Monday. We've got a proposal that a person would be entitled to a proxy vote in these circumstances. And the reason I say that that's controversial is because it would contaminate the whole of the proxy voting system. At the moment, a person with a proxy vote is a person who has got a condition, either a medical condition or because they're expecting a baby, or they're the father of somebody who's expecting a baby, and so on. Those are what we might describe as perfectly...
Order. This is getting to the substance of the debate. This is simply about the business of the House motion before us. This isn't to debate what we're going to be debating next week. So can we just be absolutely clear? I know Mr Evans has already made that clear, so I'm just reinforcing that we need to discuss what is before us, not the substance of the debate next week. And we absolutely need to be very clear about that.
Deputy Speaker, I absolutely agree with that. And the purpose of speaking to this motion today is to try and illustrate by example the range of scope of the motion which is down for debate on Monday, and why 2 hours in my submission is an inadequate amount of time in which to discuss a motion with such wide scope. I give way to my right honourable friend.
I'm grateful to my right honourable friend for giving way, because if you look at the motion before the House today, it suggests that Standing Order number 41A, deferred divisions, shall not apply. I just wonder if my honourable friend thinks it is wise to put motions before this House that randomly suspend standing orders, or whether it isn't important to maintain the integrity of standing orders, which is, Madam Deputy Speaker, clearly a legitimate part of today's motion.
Madam Deputy Speaker, my right honourable friend makes another very good point. And of course, we know that the Leader of the House, and he is a former distinguished leader of the House, the Leader of the House has two hats. The Leader of the House acts as a member of the government and on behalf of the government, but the Leader of the House also defends the rights of backbenchers to have issues such as this properly debated. And that's why I express openly my disappointment that she has chosen to put a motion on the order paper which would limit the amount of time for debate, instead of that time for debate being a reasonable one, which could be three hours, which would not be unusual, taking into account the complexity of the issues. And as another example, Madam Deputy Speaker, of the complexity of the issues, this is something that has been being debated in the House and at business questions and in committees, including in the House of Commons Commission, for the best part of a year. And why has it been taking so long in being debated in those forums? Because it is a complex and controversial subject. And it just seems to me that such a controversial and complex subject demands more time than is so far being allocated to it. But there's no point in me repeating my points anymore, Madam Deputy Speaker, because I certainly don't want to get myself in a position where I won't even be able to be called in the substantive debate on Monday. But I certainly look forward to that.
Sir Philip Davies.
Madam Deputy Speaker, thank you very much. And I want to follow on from my honourable friend, who I thought made some fantastic points. I want to start by commending the Leader of the House for having listened to the previous concerns that people had and actually come back with a revised motion. And I think we should set on the record that we're particularly grateful that she's done what my honourable friend said and be a representative of the House and listen and come back, and I want to commend her for doing that. Nonetheless, I think my honourable friend is absolutely right when he says that 2 hours is insufficient for this subject. This isn't a matter about the rights of members of Parliament alone, although obviously it is to an extent. This is mainly, Madam Deputy Speaker, about the rights of their constituents who have a right to be represented in Parliament by the person that they elected to Parliament. And this motion, in effect, is designed deliberately, and I support what's in the motion broadly, but it is designed in order to restrict the rights of those constituents to have their voice heard in Parliament. And I think that is always something that we should interfere with great care in this House, and it certainly shouldn't happen just on the back of a 2-hour debate. And the thing is, Madam Deputy Speaker, is that with a 2-hour debate, by the time the front benches have had a go and set out their stall and whatever and all the rest of it, the time left for back benches is limited. Now, as anyone can see from the motion that's been tabled, it's quite an extensive motion with a number of different clauses in it. As my honourable friend says, there are 8 amendments to it. If somebody wanted to speak on their views on what the motion was and to address the amendments, I mean, how long is anyone going to have to speak in that debate? On the back benches, once the front benches have had their go. I suspect it won't be very long at all. We're not really going to have a debate, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I think that we actually saw earlier, through the exchange, through my honourable friend, from the New Forest and the honourable lady from Birmingham, that actually there is quite a significant debate to be had here, which people will have strong opinions on different sides of this argument. That's the whole point of being in here, that we have a debate. And surely we can all see from this timetable that we're not going to have time for a proper debate. That can't be right. And I think the point is that my honourable friend made is about, in terms of the business on Monday. Now, I've got no idea how long the debate's going to last on the various regulations that are down on public procurement and agriculture, or how many urgent questions and statements there might be and all the rest of it. But it's not impossible to envisage that those debates won't last very long. And we could be, Madam Deputy Speaker, in the absurd situation where we have business on a Monday that's supposed to run till 10 o'clock, and we rise early because the 2-hour limit's been reached for this debate, with hours to spare still on the day. Well, why on earth would we unnecessarily restrict the debate before the normal end of the sitting day? At least we should make it clear that we can go on to the normal end of the sitting day if that comes later. Why could the motion not at least make that clear, that we could at least carry on until 10 o'clock?
I'm going to my honourable friend. And will he emphasise that this is not any ordinary debate? This is scheduled for Monday. This is a debate to change the standing orders of this House. And as was pointed out to me when I was first on the Procedure Committee in 1984 by Enoch Powell, in the absence of a written constitution, the standing orders of this House are our constitution. Are we really saying that we should change our constitution in a time-limited debate this coming Monday?
Well, I think my honourable friend makes a good point, and in some respects I'm perhaps arguing against my own self-interest here, Madam Deputy Speaker, because of the changes that the Leader of the House has made to the motion. I am broadly content with what's down on the motion. Broadly, there are some certain minor changes I would prefer to see happen that we could perhaps tweak out. But actually, there are other people who probably don't like the changes that have been instituted since it last appeared before the House. Their opportunity to speak against those changes are now going to be severely curtailed. And I think that is unfortunate, to say the least. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, I would just simply ask that the Leader of the House think again about this. I think really we can all see that 2 hours is not an adequate amount of time, and there is scope to have more time for this debate on something that is of great importance to the rights of members of Parliament, but mainly their constituents, to be represented in this House by the people who've elected them, and for that only to be curtailed where necessary. And so I hope that the Leader of the House will indicate that she will not move this motion today and withdraw it and think again.
Leader of the House.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The motion before us this evening protects time for the debate on risk-based exclusion on Monday the 13th of May. It also ensures that any amendments selected by the Speaker can be dealt with at the conclusion of the debate. It is an important debate, and we've had a little rehearsal of some of the issues that may come up, and of course I do listen to colleagues on both sides of the House about the substance, as our fellow commissioners do, and how much time is allowed for this debate. As I announced last week, the House will be considering secondary legislation earlier that day. The effect of this motion is to ensure that the debate on risk-based exclusion can take place no matter how late it starts, and it will have a guaranteed amount of time. Turning to the specific points my right honourable and honourable friends raised, and first of all, the right honourable gentleman, I think, raises points about the integrity of standing orders. I hope, as recent history shows, that I put great emphasis on this point, having stood at this dispatch box and withdrawn my side of this House from taking part in an Opposition Day debate to protect the integrity of our procedures and processes and how standing orders have operated. And I would just remind colleagues that this is the second time the Commission, it is not, I have tabled the motion on behalf of the House of Commons Commission, but this is a scheme that has been arrived at by the House of Commons Commission with input from different political parties and a great deal of consultation. We have already had one debate on this matter that we did not bring to the floor of the House to have a vote on, and we wanted to listen. That was quite a lengthy debate. We wanted to listen to all sides of that debate, and we took forward the issues that had been raised, put them back into commission and addressed the points of concern raised, which is why this amendment has come back in the form that it has. And in addition to that, I know that all members of the Commission, the Honourable Lady who's in her place opposite and others, have taken time to talk to many colleagues, both in this place and the other place, about the concerns that they have or suggestions they have around this scheme. I'd be happy to take.
I'm very grateful to my right honourable friend. I don't think what the motion is aiming to do is wrong, but I'm very concerned that we are using standing orders as a means of determining who can attend this House. We've never done that before. Attendance at this House has either been set out in legislation or an individual member has been excluded from this House. And therefore, however much time we allow for it, we're allowing time for the wrong thing. And my right honourable friend, if this is the route she wants to go down, should bring forward legislation to do it and a timetable motion for that legislation, rather than using standing orders in this way.
My right honourable friend makes an extremely important point that he's taken the time to make today and, of course, can make in the debate on Monday. He has not raised this point with me prior to this. I don't know whether he's spoken to the usual channels or other members of the Commission. But we have consulted on this. We've spoken to many colleagues about this. This is the business of the House. We are going to bring forward this debate. He will know that it has been a topic that has been frequently raised at business questions, and members are eager that this is brought forward. We have the debate on Monday. This motion is to protect the time, and I look forward to hearing from other colleagues. And as the Honourable Lady opposite and I have demonstrated, along with the Speaker and other members of the Commission, we will always listen to the concerns of colleagues.
The question is, as on the order paper, as many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it.